about last night. 3 world title fights in the UK and Ireland, one in Belfast, one in Manchester, one in Bournemouth. The one in Manchester was the rematch between Maurizio Lara and Leigh Wood, which I'll talk about first. Then out in Belfast, we had Luis Alberto Lopez defending his IBF title against Mick CONLAN in the same division, the featherweight division. And then lastly, we had the cruiserweight world title fight down in Bournemouth between Lawrence Okolie and Chris Billam-Smith. I want to talk about Leigh Wood and Maurizio Lara to begin with. Repeat revenge. It was revenge last night for Leigh Wood. I think the game plan and the blueprint to beat Lara was already set in the first fight. I mean, Leigh Wood was winning the fight up until he tried to hook with a hooker, somebody with a power puncher like Lara, and he got caught. But he was winning the fight. The blueprint was there. That manipulating the distance with the jab to the body, jab to the body. If Lara stepped in, you step back, uppercut, hooks. The game plan was there. Ben Davison, Lee Wiley, Vaza, Smith got it right. And I think they knew that. That's why they implemented the rematch straight off the bat, and they got it done. And they stayed. Leigh Wood tremendously stuck to that game plan throughout the fight, even knocking Lara down in the second round with a nice uppercut. What a performance from Leigh Wood. I mean, the thing is with somebody like Maurizio Lara, it's staying away from somebody that hits that hard for 12 rounds, 36 minutes. It's hard to stay away from them for 36 minutes. And although maybe he caught Leigh a couple of times, Leigh always had that right hand tight as Lara came in. Obviously learned that from the first fight, and he done everything right. Ben Davison was cool, calm, and collective in the corner. Basically saying patience, keep your discipline, and I think that was key to beating something like Lara, who doesn't throw many jabs. He lunges in with the big left hooks and the big right hands. So tremendous. Two-time world champion Leigh Wood in a division, the featherweight division, which I've said on numerous occasions is the best division in world boxing right now. Let me take a drink of water because a lot of talking. Excuse me. I mean, the featherweight division is just absolutely fantastic in terms of how many different world champions have we had of late in all the governing bodies in that featherweight division. It's just the best in boxing right now, because the top 10, maybe even the top 12, they can all fight each other over and over again. Like we've seen rematches, and they're beating each other, and the world titles are changing hands in a division which is hotly contested. Now you've got, obviously in the UK, we have Leigh Wood, Mick CONLAN, which I'll touch on, who's obviously UK and Ireland. Leigh Wood, Mick CONLAN, Josh Warrington, Jazza Dickens, Nick Ball, who won last night as well. Can't forget about him because he's a little pocket rocket. We've got Mark Magzile, Rhea Abbey, we have Robsy Ramirez, Luis Alberto Lopez, who defended his title, and the IBF world champion. Maurizio Lara is obviously still there or thereabouts. Joet Gonzalez, Jazza Dickens, who's the IBO world champions. Brandon Figueroa. I mean, like I said, all these guys can face each other, fight each other, and that's what they're doing. They're all facing each other. And Leigh Wood has shown that he deserves that City Ground, the stadium fight next. And the thing that we want to see is probably the Josh Warrington fight, especially it'll be massive here in the UK. Touching on the second world title fight, the same division out in Belfast, was Mick CONLAN versus Luis Alberto Lopez. Mick won the first 2 rounds, and he was taking the pace from the southpaw stance, keeping him at bay with a jab and landing that same shot, looping left hand as that he knocked Wood down in their fight. But the thing is with Lopez is, even though Mick was controlling the distance and Lopez seemed out of range, Lopez would just swing these big arse winders, like pull his hand right back to his arse and just wham, launch him with the shots. Which obviously, if you're fighting somebody that unorthodox, it's almost like you can't really prepare for that. He was lunging in with big looping shots, and it was effective because it got him in range, and then he would throw tight shots and when he got into that inside the pocket. And we've seen him. He hurt Mick in the 3rd round with the uppercut, and hurt him again in the 5th round when he stopped him with the uppercut as well. But like I say, it's hard for any boxer to fight somebody that unorthodox. And as Mick landed a couple of good shots himself, but I don't think Lopez was, you know what I mean? He's like, to lack of a better word, fuck it, I'm just going to go for it. And he was just swinging from the rafters. And like I say, unorthodox style, and it's hard to probably prepare for. People I've seen online saying, "Oh, Mick's done, and he's never going to be a world champion." But listen, if you don't have balls to step in the ring and fight for the world title, which he did, and obviously he was winning the wood fight up until he was up on a few cards in the wood fight before he got stopped with 30 seconds to go. And how a fighter copes with that mentally, it can be difficult. Now, I've said that Mick isn't done yet. Whether he moves up to super featherweight, I don't know if he's tight at featherweight, but Jazza Dickens is there. Jazza Dickens is based out in Ireland now. Jazza spoke to me and said that he would fight Mick CONLAN in Ireland. So it makes sense to, if Mick can get back on the wagon like he's done it after Leigh Wood, he got 2 consecutive wins under his belt and then fought Lopez. Unfortunately, came up short. He's admitted himself he wasn't at the races. But if he wants a crack and a crack, get back on the horse, do it, and then fight Jazza Dickens. Why not? It's a big fight for Jazza. Jazza's wanting a big fight. He needs a big name. He wants a big name. He's wanting Warrington, and he's wanting obviously Leigh Wood is Jazza. But Mick can come again, and it's an IBO world title. It might not. IBO doesn't get the credit like the other 4 governing bodies, but it's still a piece of the piece of the puzzle. For any fighter, if they want to dangle that in front of somebody and say, "Listen, come and see me," and Mick's got a 10,000 fans sellout arena that he can go to, they ain't going to stop supporting Mick. So Mick isn't done, not a chance. He'll come back. I mean, he's obviously got to dust himself off and take some time with his family, get back on that horse, and then we've seen fighters lose and they come back and win it. It's just about biting down on that gum shield and jumping back on the horse and getting it done. And I think Mick can do it, man. And you can't win Olympic medals, world medals, and Commonwealth Game medals if you haven't got it about you. And I know amateur and professional boxing is 2 different sports, but I think the Jazza Dickens fight makes sense for Mick CONLAN if he gets back on the horse. Now, the 3rd world title fight was the Cruiserweight WO world title down in Bournemouth. A sold-out Vitality Stadium, 15,000 people at the stadium. Now, Lawrence Okolie had 2 points deducted for holding, and he got knocked down 3 times. Right, so there's 5 rounds. You're basically 10 rounds down, and then 5 rounds that you got a point deducted and thingamajiggy. So for me, for the life of me, if Lawrence Okolie won the 7 rounds that he lost the points and got knocked down in, but he won the 7 rounds that he didn't lose the points and got knocked down, and then that still makes it a 113-110 fight to Chris Billam-SMITH. So where did the 112 scorecard come from? I can't see where. I can understand it if he got knocked down, but he was dominating the round, right? And you can maybe knock that back up to a 10-9, even if the point deduction, if he was dominating the round, you can bump it back up to 9-10 because he was dominating the round and whatnot. But I can't see whether he wasn't dominating any of the rounds. I mean, he was holding. That's what he does. We know what Lawrence does is he throws that big long jab, big long right hand, and looks to hold a little bit and tie your opponent down, wear him up before he lands another big shot. But credit to Chris Billam-SMITH. We saw what it means to him in the post-fight interview and on the ring and that. And so fair play to him. You can see he was getting frustrated in the ring, but he never, you can tell, sorry, you probably couldn't see, you can tell he was getting frustrated, but he wouldn't let you, he was sort of like a poker face. He was just sticking to his game plan. You know what, I'll get you, and he caught him 3 times and dropped him 3 times. So well done to Chris Billam-SMITH. And fair play to Lawrence Okolie as well, who basically gave him all the credit, was gracious in defeat, which was good to see. He's activated the rematch clause, so we might be able to see that again. But for me, it was a great night of boxing. It was hard, though, when you've got 3 UK broadcasters on at the same time. It's like pick your poison, unless you've got an iPad and TV and laptop there and you're watching all 3 fights. But again, you're like this, trying to watch all 3 screens. But yeah, just in summary, Leigh Wood boxed an absolute game plan. Lopez is a nightmare in this division. Mick CONLAN will come again, and I think a Jazza Dickens fight makes sense down the line, maybe the end of the year, if Jazza wins his next fight and Mick can get back on the horse and get a couple of wins under his belt. And congratulations to Chris Billam-SMITH, and well done to Lawrence Okolie for being gracious in defeat as well. What a night of boxing. Absolutely loved it. And I'll say it again, and I'll keep saying it. The featherweight division is the best in boxing right now. Let me know what you think.